Chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 475 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Chiropractor Howie. And if you want to hear the story of freedom and chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's a really great day. We're at episode 475. I'm really excited because we're 25 away from the 500 mark. And that's a milestone in any production house. So I'm really excited for that. Today I have Chiropractor Howie. Functional name is Howie Reed. We're both from Iowa.
Reed Howie, actually, but yes.
Oh, Reed Howie.
Yes,
darn
sir.
It. Let me go in and edit this quick. I just pulled the biggest.
Everyone does that. Don't worry about it, man.
I just pulled the.
Palmer Reed Howie, so I'm sure that's going to get a little crazy too.
All right, Reed Howie. Let me fix this ticker. This is the first time in my career I've ever done that.
Well,
save. All right. Well, it was a little confusing when I saw on your Facebook profile as Chiropractor Howie. I'm like, well, what is this guy's name? Well,
I go by Howie, so Reed's actually my middle name. I don't even go by it. If I have to go by a first name, that's the first name. I'm actually in the process of changing my real first name to Chiropractor. So,
hey, so it's not really a journalistic faux pas then. I didn't really mess up too bad.
No, not really, because before long it will actually be my real name. So yes.
Well, that's cool. You'll be my first chiropractor. Well, let's get back to the format here. So our show, we have a big why, and our big why is very important to you. I know it's important to you because you have a YouTube channel called Freedom Chiropractic. And what our show does fundamentally is we protect freedom of speech. As we come into this world of chiropractic and the wild, wild west of the medical world, a lot of the information gets stymied and shut down, and we've never done that. I get asked all the time, have you ever not let somebody's episode go live? No, we've produced everyone. The only time we ever have not produced a show is if it was a bad audio or bad video and we just pulled the plug on it and scheduled a follow-up interview. So for anybody out there that was curious, we do protect freedom of speech. That's very important to me. I might not agree with everything that everyone says, but I believe everybody's entitled to their viewpoints. Secondly and thirdly, we believe in family freedom and medical freedom. Those things are really important as people have seen what's happened over the past couple of years within the global world, what's happened with the information and what's happened with mandates and whatnot. We believe that everybody should have freedom of choice for themselves and their family for what they decide to do for their healthcare needs. I'm sure that aligns with a lot of what Chiropractor Howie is going to talk about today too. And then we protect the sacred trust. If you guys don't know what BJ Palmer's sacred trust is, that's his last words. And if you don't know what that is, go to your favorite search engine right now and go search for BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. You're going to learn a lot more about chiropractic than you ever knew before, just by knowing that one bit of chiropractic symbolism and what that means. And then we protect and support subluxation-based chiropractic, the word, the vernacular, the lexicon, the languaging, all of it, the historical reference of it and the future reference of it. It all is important to the chiropractic profession. Then lastly, before we jump into this episode, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence, and that when man or woman, the physical, get adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. So with that being said, Dr. Chiropractor Howie, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, that was a lot of intro, but I think it's fundamentally important. Let's just jump right into your story. Chiropractor, looks like you went to Palmer in Davenport.
Yes, sir.
And that looks like you finished in 02. So
Yes, sir.
let's talk a little bit about your chiropractic story, how you got into chiropractic, and a little bit of how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Honestly, I kind of believe that I was meant to be a chiropractor. I was in a freshman in high school. We had like an aptitude test. We put on this information in the computer, and then it spit out this thing called chiropractic. I had no idea what a chiropractor was. I went home and I showed my mom the list, and she's like, well, your uncle's a chiropractor in Illinois. I'm originally from Iowa. So I talked to him, and he sent me some literature, and I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty good, right? And that was my freshman year in high school. My junior year, he moved back to my hometown, which was also his hometown. So we had a lot of philosophy talks and things like that. So I was really ingrained with the philosophy of chiropractic. That's what really inspired me. Even though I really didn't quite understand a lot of it, even when I got into chiropractic school, but I looked for the philosophy. So that philosophy led me to the green books, B.J. Palmer's books. And then eventually that led me into Reggie's world, Reggie Gold's world. I started out as a BJ-ite, then I moved to a Reggieite. So I've kind of mixed both of those kind of worlds together, the philosophy and the idea, and then the application of true chiropractic. So that's kind of where I started. And, my whole idea is, I wanted to do this and provide lifetime chiropractic care to the world. So I worked with another chiropractor, Mark Romano, moved down here to Tupelo, Mississippi, is where I've been for the last 20 years. And that's where I really try to impact the world of chiropractic through the community. I really, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I really don't think that chiropractic is going to be saved by anyone but chiropractors. No one cares about chiropractic. No one else makes money off of true, pure, unadulterated chiropractic. The only one that makes money off of pure, unadulterated chiropractic is the chiropractor. All we need is, a table, face paper, cleaning supplies, office supplies. That isn't going to keep anyone in business. Okay. So if we're looking wait for someone to save us, it's never going to happen. There was a really bad movie called Tesla that had Ethan Hawke. It came out during, I think, 2020, which was probably good. It never made it to the theaters because it really wasn't that great a movie. But in that, J.P. Morgan's daughter was enamored with Tesla until she figured out that, dude, my dad isn't going to back you with this. No one's going to back you if they can't make buku amounts of money off of your product. And as we know, Tesla was trying to give away energy for free. So no one's backing that up. Well, no one else besides chiropractors actually make money off of chiropractic. So no one's going to save us. No one's going to protect us. So that's why I've kind of decided that I want to try to educate the chiropractors on how to practice this thing we call chiropractic. Not medical chiropractic, but chiropractic. And that's why I started the Freedom Chiropractic, which is that the flag back there is a symbol, I guess, on my the YouTube channel. So is that what you're looking for?
No, I mean, there's a lot of things that you said there that really resonate with me and the message that we produce here. And awesome. I was listening to this Joe Rogan podcast recently about a beekeeper. And she was talking about how not all honey's the same, because sometimes they adulterate the honey with different additives. Like high fructose corn syrup or sugar, and they water it down and they cut it. And I feel like your message is kind of like that. If you really want like the real deal chiropractic, then don't water it down, don't cut it, don't add to it, don't take away from it. And she was talking about the viability of like real honey, real pollinated honey that comes from like nurtured, cared for hives, as opposed to these hives that get cross pollinated with sugar water. And I thought it was kind of interesting to like put the parallels together between like vibrancy of a hive of honey and like how it's produced to the vibrancy of chiropractic in the chiropractic community and how it's produced. And after doing over 1,100 interviews in 5 years, I've come to realize that if you produce something that's not chiropractic, then we shouldn't call it chiropractic. So
I would agree.
yeah, and I knew you would. That's kind of why I teed up this conversation with you the way I did today, because I know that you want to preserve chiropractic for future generations. And I think you nailed it right on the head when you said nobody's making money off of chiropractic but chiropractors. And anybody else that tried to ever include chiropractic into their systems to make money off of it just ruined chiropractic.
Diluted it, made it something different. Absolutely.
So you run a straight chiropractic clinic, right?
I don't. I call it non-therapeutic. I don't like the term straight. It's not something that it's. But non-therapeutic's not even perfect either, because then it's like I don't like to be exclusive. If that makes any sense. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm better than you because I'm doing this. That's not the intention. We call ourselves non-therapeutic chiropractors because we're not presenting chiropractic as a therapy. So to me, that's the most ideal word to use. So, because especially in today's world, straight can be yeah.
let me ask you this then. This would probably be a really good topic for us to discuss. So when somebody says, I got a chiropractic treatment, what is that? How does that make you feel? What do you think?
It's not a treatment. Technically maybe it is a treatment what we do, but we don't look at brushing our teeth as a treatment. We don't look at food as a treatment for malnutrition. You see what I'm saying? But technically they kind of are, aren't they? But we don't look at it that way. We look at it as just lifestyle. And that's why chiropractic should get to the point to where it's just a lifestyle. It's just something that we all do. I mean, all the chiropractors out there, I've been listening to chiropractors sit on stage and talk about seeing every man, woman, and child on the planet from birth to earth for 20 years or more. And, we're no closer to it. All right. But, think about this. Okay. If you were the God of gods and you heard this profession professing that, like, wow, that's a great mission statement, right? I can get behind that. But then when you start looking behind the scenes, you pull back the curtain, you realize, wait a minute. Very few of these chiropractors are even taking care of people in their offices like they do their own families, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. So if you saw that incongruency, why would you ever give the chiropractic profession every man, woman, and child on the planet from birth to earth? It's never going to happen until we take care of the people like we take care of our own families, week after week, year after year, decade after decade.
Well, I think that's very important for people to hear that message. And I think congruency is something really important in the profession too. And as I listen to your message, it just makes me think back to this day when I was talking to a buddy of mine named Patrick Smith, who runs a membership practice in Colorado.
I know.
And Patrick, yeah, and Patrick would always tell me, I want to see you today for the rest of your life till either one or you or I blow up.
Right.
And he said, I used to practice this model where we had electric stim in our offices and we had hydroculator packs and we did insurance billing. He's like, I felt like it took my soul. And he's like, I learned about this membership model practice where people come in, they get checked, they get adjusted, and I send them on their way. I tell them the truth about chiropractic, and I sleep really well at night. And one of the best things he ever taught me was some will, some won't. So what? Who's next? And
Exactly.
I think that you always had to be cognizant of, like, you're not there to serve everybody.
Right. And here's how I put it, Jim. Okay, everyone in this society knows that eating healthy and exercising is in their best interest. We'd all agree with that, right? On a lifetime basis, that would be in their best interest. On the other hand, everyone knows that, you know, eating McDonald's, drinking alcohol, and smoking cigarettes every day of your life is probably not the best choice. But I just have to say, there's probably more people doing the bad stuff than the good stuff. It's just a choice. And chiropractic's the same way. You cannot be attached to other people's decisions, including the people coming into the practice and other chiropractors. I just can't do it anymore. I can't care more about the people's health leaving my office and the chiropractors. You know, I can't worry about the health of the profession either. I can only do what I can do. I think the only way we can make a difference is to be the model in our communities, to where people take a look and like, what the hell is going on over there? We got to find out, because it's just crazy over there, right? And then we have to build such a big practice that the profession sees it well. I think that is the only way that we're going to have to inspire other people to be chiropractors, because it's not easy. It's really not easy. I mean, trying to get people to understand this. You know, I had a young couple come in, and, you know, the wife was getting ready to leave. And, you know, well, she was getting ready to get on the table, and she's like, well, Howie, why don't most chiropractors talk about this? I'm like, you know, honestly, I think it's because you all don't listen. And she's all like, she laughed about it, whatever, lay down on the table. And then as she was getting ready to leave the office, she says to me, you know, I have a couple friends that I want to send your way. I'm like, all right, awesome. They have neck and back pain. I'm like, all right, and we're right here already. Within 5 minutes, we're already back to why most chiropractors don't talk about what I talk about. Because, you know, you come out on fire. I think most of the profession comes out, you know, on purpose, and they come out on fire, and they try to change the world. And then they tell these things, and people, oh, well, I got this. Oh, it's more than that. It's bigger than that. It's about life. Can you fix this? The next person, over and over, until finally, like, you know, you just become a treatment, because that's what people want. So you just give people what they want. I'm not that person. I give people what they need, whether or not they like it or not. I don't care. You know, next, and I've built a big enough community that people see it. Like, I stay busy, and it's for the right reasons. It's, you know, I honestly, I couldn't deal with everyone coming in my practice every day talking about, hey doc, this hurts, fix this. Hey doc. I couldn't be doing this for 20 years. I probably would have got out of the profession by now and done something different, because that's not very fulfilling.
Well, I think chiropractic has been perpetrated upon as being an expensive Advil. And that's how a lot of the world, at least 90% that we haven't reached yet, that's never been to a chiropractor, they don't know what to think about chiropractic.
Yeah, but okay, so who in most chiropractic offices, who could afford to bring themselves and their families in every single week, week after week, year after year, decade after decade? You see, there's the real problem. And I get it. It isn't easy doing what we do. It isn't easy getting people to understand. And, you know, it is definitely the easier path to take, the compromising path, the finite path. I just did one of my newest videos yesterday, and it was on the Infinite Game, Simon Sinek's Infinite Game. And, you know, it's really, you know, to revisit that and actually, you know, try to put into a video of it, you really have to dive into it more. And it's really got me more on fire about, and that's really how I presented it all from the very beginning. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew where I was going. I really didn't care how I was getting there. I just knew this is where we're going to, that, you know, getting everyone under lifetime care in my practice. I didn't know it was going to be as hard as it was, but I was never going to give up.
So I think,
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority podcast training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle. No, I think we understand like your practice model, but you said that you're busy. How have you gone about growing your practice and maybe some strategies and tips that other people could use?
Great question. Okay. So the problem with that too is it's hard to get people. You can't really advertise, right? What am I going to advertise? Okay, we already just said that chiropractic's not a treatment for a condition or a complaint, right? Therefore, what am I going to advertise? The best I can do is a price point. I mean, what else? Okay, oh, hey, go to Howie Chiropractic for a better quality of life. Well, let's get going. Like, everyone knows that you go to a chiropractor for a better quality of life, right? No, of course they don't, right? That's why I go, and that's why all chiropractors go. But that's not why the general public goes, because that's not how it's been framed. That's not how it's been presented. So, like I said, you can't really advertise chiropractic. The best way I say to do it is definitely when I started, did like a guerrilla marketing. Went to business, handed out a flyer, brochure, said, hey, Howie, local chiropractor in the area. I was just over here. I just want to give you a flyer, brochure. If you could just share it with a fellow employee, thanks. And go on. To me, it wasn't really about selling to that person. It was about planting the seeds. It was about getting, the creator or whoever to understand the universe, to understand that, I'm here and just planting seeds. I'm here to serve. I believe that was the real big thing that came of that. Because the main goal is to get them in the office. You don't sell anyone on the phone. You don't talk about chiropractic on the phone. I have a free consultation. We'll set up an appointment at this time. You cannot discuss those things on the street, in someone else's office or anything like that. It has to be in your office. Your main objective to any kind of advertisement or anything is to get them in the office, period. So you can do your consultation to get them to understand what true chiropractic is. You can't do it outside of your office. It's just got to be there, unless you do community events or something and do education or whatever, but it's just not the same. You're the authority when you're in your office. You're more of an authority than you are anywhere else outside of your office. If that makes any sense.
Let's talk congruency, because I know that's a major part of your practice model. How do you take care of you and your family?
Well, I get my own spine checked. I've been getting checked at least twice a week for 20 years now. I came from a large chiropractic family. I was the 28th graduate from my family. Never knew the truth. No one ever told me the truth of chiropractic. When I first started, guess what? I was pissed. I lived a life that was not great. I used to sleep. I had to sleep on my back like this 3 to 4 hours a night, because I was afraid that if I woke up, I might be in agonizing pain the next day. So I had to learn how to take naps in the afternoon just to get by. So now I've been under regular, consistent chiropractic care for getting checked at least twice a week for 20 years. I can do whatever I want. It doesn't make any difference. But isn't that how it's supposed to be? Ultimately, do you think God made a mistake? No. The problem is that we live in a world that we were not designed to live in. We create all these problems around us. Those physical, chemical, mental stresses. Maybe 50, 100 years ago, people didn't need as frequent care. Back in the day, our ancestors, probably their biggest stress was physical. But you can leave the plow on the field and come home and enjoy the rest of your day. Nowadays, people are bringing the plow home with them. They're going to bed with the plow. They're waking up with the plow, with those chemical and mental stresses. Those are the ones that are the real killers today. Overtaxes the nerve system, and that just leads to these problems. Everyone needs to be under care today. It doesn't matter the situation. Well, what do we do? Blah, blah, blah. Get people under regular lifetime care. They need to understand that chiropractic is about function and needs to be done weekly on a lifetime basis. That's all I focus on in my office, to get people to understand that. If they don't, that's fine. But I'm going to build something that's so big in this community that they might be like, oh yeah, look what he's done. Like maybe he was right. And that's all. It's not about me being right. It's about bringing this to the world, because This is how we were designed to be. When you're free of nerve interference, your body should function at a higher level, period. I mean, it just makes sense. And every chiropractor now that's getting their spine checked weekly and checking their family weekly, probably were not doing that before chiropractic, before going to chiropractic school and being educated on the importance and the value of doing chiropractic on a lifetime basis. So guess what we need to do? Educate and learn how to educate people on the importance and value of doing chiropractic on a lifetime basis. So
I like it a lot.
That's what I've worked on for the last 20 years. You know, one of my mentors said it takes 5 to 7 years to build a sustainable practice. Well, guess what? To build any business, doesn't it take about 5 to 7 years? So you might as well do it right the first time. Might as well make it right.
Amen.
And then he said 15 years to build a practice that every chiropractor is envious of. Well, I'm going on to 15 years on my own now. So yeah, it's been amazing over the last few years. This nonsense that happened over the last few years, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. That's when I really grasped this idea of freedom, and I'm never compromising ever again in so many areas of my life. It's just too short. So,
well, I love your message. It's got a lot of passion, a lot of purpose. And I think that it's important for people to hear somebody that stands by their truth so well and delivers the goods. And I think that that's a part of what makes this interview different than every other one I've ever done is your fundamentals are strong. And I really appreciate that. Let's talk though. You talk about the future a little bit there. How do you see the future of chiropractic going?
well, if things don't change, it ain't gonna be chiropractic, man. Yeah, I think that the whole game, if you understand how we got involved in the insurance game, I'm not sure if you do. You've heard of the Wilk versus AMA case, right? Where we sued the AMA for trying to destroy and contain the chiropractic profession in the early 70s, right?
I do know that. I do know.
Of course. So during those, it took us over a decade to beat them in court. Right? During the time that we were beating them in court, we were included in the insurance game. Do you know who owns the diagnosis codes of the insurance game? Take a wild guess at that one.
Oh, the AMA.
Oh, the AMA happens to own the diagnosis codes and make over $70 million a year over just their diagnosis codes. Yeah, do you see that being a problem? You see how they controlled the chiropractic profession? It started off with the Mercedes 80s, whereas they paid for anything and they would, we could bill for anything and they paid for anything. And then they finally started saying, hey, before we could continue to pay you, we need these diagnosis codes, we need these medical procedures, we need X, Y, Z. So the people out in the profession said to the schools, hey, you know what? You need to start teaching this diagnosis stuff, this medical stuff, so the students can get paid medical dollars when they graduate. They knew what they were doing. And I believe that once we are so ingrained and once they get to the point to where they can compete against us or somewhat compete against us, because I've seen the change in the profession. Very few people, they have, not only do they just have their drugs nowadays, they have their physical therapists, they have pain management centers. None of this stuff was going on 20 years ago. And now most people are going to medical failures, PT failures, pain management failures, if they ever make it into our practices. So this is what we're competing against. So what do you think is going to happen when they stop paying chiropractors medical dollars? Most of the profession is going to go away. It ain't going to change anything in my practice because my practice isn't built that way. My practice is built off of chiropractic, off the truth, why I get my spine checked and why all chiropractors are getting their spines checked. So, but yeah, that's unfortunately that's how I see the future of chiropractic.
Well, we have about 3 minutes left on today's show. Let's go speed round. Tell me a miracle story.
Okay. All right. A miracle story. Okay. Isn't the miracle already contained in us? All right. So I was at Dynamic Essentials once, and somebody, I was like, I don't have any miracle stories. And somebody's like, oh, don't worry, Howie, you will. I'm like, honestly, I don't think the miracle stories are for the patients or the people. I don't call them patients. I call them people or clients. I don't think it's for them. I think it's for the chiropractor. I think it's a slap in the face, like, wow, look what you have. Wake up. This is bigger than that. Because to me, the real miracles are the things that never happen because people's bodies are functioning the way God intended them to. To me, that's the real miracles. The fact that, I haven't been sick or anything in 20 years, my son, all these things, right? The people come in my practice. I mean, that to me is the real miracles, not the things that go away.
I like that.
Can I say one thing? I want
Sure.
to add one thing. You brought up Joe Rogan earlier. All right, so Joe Rogan is like one of the most, the top podcast guy they're out there, right?
Yep.
I think in 2021 he had average of 11 million viewers per show. The next one was 3.24 million. So he has about 3.5 more times more viewers than everyone else, right? And as you probably know, he thinks that chiropractic is BS. As you probably know, right?
I do know that.
And so here's my contention, Jim. I just want to leave it on this with this idea of the idea of infinite game, right? So this chiropractor that was seeing him was trying to treat a condition, a herniated disc, bulging disc, whatever, right? So what if this chiropractor would have presented chiropractic as it's not about a treatment, it's about a lifestyle? Now, instead of Joe saying that chiropractic is BS on his podcast of 11 million viewers per show, what if he was saying that chiropractic is about life? It needs to be done on a weekly basis. How would that change things? You see what I'm saying? Like this is how I look at things. We have to make sure we frame things in the right way for the future generations of chiropractic and humanity. Because humanity is going to suffer big time if the chiropractors leave this world. It'll be rough.
Well, that tees up my last question for you. If you're the last chiropractor on planet Earth, will the profession survive?
It's going to survive in this office. That I can tell you, because like I said, I built all my practice without doing what everyone else is doing. It hasn't been easy, but that's why I'm trying to reach out to other chiropractors to show them that it is possible. You know what, Jim? I'm doing it in Mississippi. All right. I'm sorry. No one else has any excuses because I'm doing it in Mississippi. That's about all it needs.
Well, it looks like your internet cut out just for a hot second. Last thing he said, I'm doing it in Mississippi. And I really commend.
I just got to say, the hospital system in this community is the largest non-metropolitan hospital system in the world. So the chiropractors, there's a couple more chiropractors like me here, and our idea is that if we could change the community here where we live, it has to send a ripple into the world. So I believe that's why I was placed here, is to help make that happen, if that makes any sense. I mean, Don Hahn's got a meditation center here in like where a lot of the whole racism and everything started. I mean, he has the same idea, I guess. Heal this community, maybe you'll heal the world. So, anyways.
Amen. Well, if people want to learn more about you or connect with you, where can they find you?
The best, is Freedom Chiropractic. It's on YouTube. Like I said, it's that flag is on there, or just Facebook. Read Howie on Facebook. I'd be happy to talk to anyone, communicate anyone with. I just want to bring this message to the world. It's not about me. It's about getting this message to the world because it's that important. The world needs it more now than they ever have. They really do. It's getting sad out there. So,
well, brother,
but one of the things about chiropractic, it empowers people to give them the power to make their own choices. And I think that's what really scares the medical community and our government in general, because they don't want to empower people. And that's what chiropractic does. It empowers people to make their own choices. Freedom,
Amen.
right? So.
I agree. Well, I thank you for being episode 475 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It was an honor to have you.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And I'll close out. What's that?
It's been a really good interview. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me and things like that, just to help get this message out there to the world.
I'm not quite the same as Joe Rogan, but we do get 12,000 people coming to our website every month for the message of chiropractic.
That's awesome, dude.
So I know that we're making a ripple effect with our media front. So awesome. I appreciate you being a part of the tapestry that we're creating. And
you're asking me.
Yeah. I'm going to close out by telling everybody you're just one story away. Keep hustling. Have a great day down there in Tupelo, Dr. Chiropractor Howie. Talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Take care. Peace.
Right. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.